Get a Job in Tech, episode 232. Let's talk about what they call GovTech, government technology, let's call it. GovTech sector, basically, is what they call it. So GovTech is anything that has to do with the government, essentially the U.S. government. Now, in order to get a job for the government, you need to have let's say sysadmin, for example. You need to have like an MCP, some sort of Microsoft cert, usually what they have, and then you have to have a Security Plus, CE, or a CASP, or a CSSP. And depending on what you have, that's what kind of job you have. Yeah, sysadmin. Let's say you're just working on a server, like Windows servers, Windows 20. I forget what they're at, 2022 now. I don't know if this 2024 is out, but especially in the government, they usually don't upgrade that fast. But you're a sysadmin on Windows servers, and for you to actually be able to work on those, you need to have that Security Plus that meets they call it the 8570 is what it's called. It's a DoD 8570. And a couple years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, something like that, they came up with that where if you work on a government contract or you work for the government, you have to have those certifications. Now, the benefit of having those certifications is you don't have a lot of competition, because not a lot of people are going out and spending $350 on Security Plus CE. They're not going to do that. By the way, CompTIA Security Plus CE is what the certification is. That one's the more challenging one to get than the Microsoft MCP. Usually those are easier to get, like an Azure certification. They're usually easier to get. Now, when I say easier, that doesn't mean easier. That doesn't mean easier for you working in McDonald's or in Walmart. Forget that. That's not easy for you, because you have to learn all these other skills before you even do that. But it's attainable at the very least. I mean, if you put the work in 3-4 months, you can have that. You can have those certifications. It's just a constant thing. Once you do it 20, 30 times, it becomes repetitive, and you kind of understand the technology, and because you're just looking to get the cert, right? And it doesn't matter if you don't know everything. Some people have imposter syndrome and they think they should know everything about it, but nobody cares. You're just filling. In some cases, you're just there to fill a seat. Essentially, your butt in seat. Okay, you have the certifications. The government says we meet this. We have this checkbox. We've met it. Okay, check, done. Now, usually those certifications, people aren't going to go and pay for it. They want a company buy it or whatever. But if you buy it yourself, $350 for the CompTIA Security Plus, like $125, $150, something like that for a MCP. If you do it yourself and you pass it, you're, like I said, you're ahead of the competition, because just your basic sysadmin people out there, they're not going to. They go home, they turn off their computer, and they don't work on computer stuff. Like, I would say probably 80% of them out there. Those 20% that you hear about in the TV or on YouTube, rather, let's say, that are working and doing IT, that's 20%. The rest of people don't care. They don't care about that stuff. They're just fine. They got their job there. Usually, sometimes 2 years college, sometimes high school, sometimes they went in the military, and they work at their job. Medium is 8 years, so they've been at their job 8 years, and they're settled in. They have a nice little community. They have a nice commute. Maybe they work from home. They're fine, and they could probably, they probably work there. They're probably going to work there 12 years, and then they go to something else in the same field because they want to have longevity, or they may stay there 20 years, and they're just filling up their 401k, and afterwards, because the stress level is so high for IT, sometimes they don't want to deal with it. So they won't have to do IT. They don't want to do IT anymore. And if they have enough money saved, they'll just go work at Walmart, essentially. So they would start at Walmart, and then they would work in IT, and then they would end in Walmart, because there's really no stress to those type of jobs like there is in IT. But for the other benefit of working GovTech is you can work overseas. So you can work at Japan, you can work at South Korea, You can work in Australia. You can work in Singapore. You can work in, of course, Middle East. You have Abu Dhabi, you have Dubai, you have Kuwait City, you have Bahrain, however you say it, Qatar, Doha, Qatar, or Qatar, however you want to say it. And you have Germany, you have Belgium, you have Italy, you have the UK, London specifically. Iceland, I think there's a job there. Norway, there might be something there, I think. And Poland, I believe there's something there now. And Bosnia, I think there's something in Bosnia as well. Yeah, and I don't think France has anything going on. And let's see, some South American countries usually have something going on too. I don't know which countries. I've heard they have jobs in South American countries. Some of them that you can get, and of course Alaska. That's stateside, but they have Alaska anywhere in the states. Pretty much all 50 states have a government entity job, and when they're there, they're there. You bring in somebody new. The company needs. Usually, what happens is these companies. There's a contract. Let's say the government says I need 10 people. Let's say for I forget what the classification is, but what's the site? I forget the site, but they need 10 people to fill this role, and all they're doing is just they're having people there to do a function, to sysadmin stuff essentially. The equipment's already there. They just need to maintain it. So they come in, and it's usually like a 5-year contract, let's say, or a 5-year bid. So the government says, okay, I'm bidding out for this company to come in. I need this company in like 10 or 20 companies or whatever. Say, I want to do it. I'll do it for X amount of dollars. So sometimes the lowest bidder gets the contract. So usually it's a 5-year contract, or maybe a 1 year with 1 year renewable. So 1 year, then the next year, renewable every year based on the government's needs. And so after 5 years, what happens is the next company comes in and they underbid, of course. They're going to underbid and they're going to lower wages. Usually, and this common practice, this happens. It's not a big deal. It's just how it is. Because they want to save money, the government wants to save money. So in comes a new company, and so they need people. And it's usually they hire the people before with the new company, or sometimes the company will say, we can't do it with this many people. We need more people. And the government says, okay, you're right. So they'll go ahead and give them more people or more bodies. But so the thing about that is usually after October. So October 1st is when they start, right? They'll start the new fiscal year. So then they'll start throwing out for bids. And usually it's like a 6-month period between the old company and the new company taking over. And in that time, you can go on and just look around on the internet and look at just Google Security Plus. That's all you got to do. Security Plus job in Google, or just any job you go to, Security Plus. And that's usually a government job. Now, wages are a little different. Quite honestly, they're sometimes lower than you would get in the commercial sector, but you have less competition because you can just you have that qualifier that says I can get this job because you have the Security Plus. And of course, there's other things you need. Of course, you need a clearance and you need to get you vetted for a clearance and all that. But the Security Plus is the main sticking point because everything else they can pretty much get you. Like your certifications, they can't get you. They can't just fast track that. They can give you an interim clearance, but they can't just they can't not have you have a certification in order to start the job. So working overseas, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. Working overseas is a GovTech, if you will. Usually what happens is, obviously they're going to pay for your plane ticket there, and they'll give you accommodation like housing. Usually it's a 2-bedroom, like a villa, or it could be apartment, 2-bedroom apartment in a big tower, and you get 1 bedroom. Your roommate gets the other bedroom, and then you work usually sometimes it's 5 days a week. Sometimes it's 6 days a week. Sometimes it's 4 days a week. So it's anywhere from 48 hours to 60 hours a week you work, or 40 hours a week you work. And in some cases, I've heard where, for instance, in Germany, it's a week on, week off. So you work 1 week and then you're off for another week. And that's what you do. And the people that work there, it's sort of like you just maintain. You're not trying to ruffle feathers. You don't go in. The trick to these GovTech jobs is, right, you're just there. You got the certification. You got the credentials. Okay, fill the seat. Good. And don't rock the boat. They're not looking at you to change the world. They just want you to go in and just fill a seat. Okay, fine. And you do some work, of course. But they're not looking for you to go to the meetings and talk a bunch and say, hey, I want to change everything. I want to do it this way. They don't care. You're there just to listen. Just listen. You're there to be a listener. When there's a meeting, you have a paper and pen, and you just write down notes. You could be doodling. It doesn't matter. Just write down something. Just think. And if they ask your opinion, I don't know. Let me write that down, and then you get back with them because you don't know, right? And it's fine. You don't know. You don't have to. You're not there. Obviously, you're not. They've been running this show for a while, long before you started working there. They know what's going on. You're just there. You fit in the cog. You fit into their scheme. You're part of their system now, part of the company. You're just there to, I need somebody to do something on a Friday. Okay, you do it. Good. Thank you. Because they don't want to do it because it's not their job. That's not their role. So that's the whole thing with government jobs, GovTech jobs, if you will. Just like you expect when you go to the DMV and how slow it is, it's not similar to that, of course. But I will say that the GovTech is, you get in, you just maintain. And on the side, if you're one of these type of people that you want to learn, you want to go in and you want to learn everything. Yeah, I want to learn everything. You want to settle that back down. You want to squash it a little bit. You don't want to announce that there, because by you saying all that, you could be dealing with people that work there 10, 15 years, and they're just trying to maintain. They're just trying to maintain that GovTech, the government job, government contractor, let's say, government job. They're just trying to get to retirement. So you're coming to all these new ideas and wanting to change. They don't like that. You're going to run them the wrong way. You just go in and say, I don't know. If you want to be like one of these people that wants to try new things and learns and everything, do that after work. Don't do it at work. Do your job, go home. And after work, try to learn more. But don't do it at work, because some people don't like that at work. Now, obviously, there's a difference. I mean, if your manager says, I want to send you this training so you can learn it, then you do it. But you got to read the room, right? You got to read the room. You got to read the people that work there so that you can understand, is this something I want to do? Like, for instance, I know a person, he worked in government, and I kept telling him, he says, I want to do all these things. And I told him, I said, just go there and just maintain. I told him, I said, they didn't, because he was telling me that they wanted to buy, he's like, yeah, they should be buying different equipment, right? And this equipment's not good. And I told him, I said, just, it's not your job. I said, it's not your job. Leave it alone. Because obviously, if you don't know, right, in the government, they have their vendors that they go to. Like, for instance, Facebook. Facebook has these servers. Hive, I think, is the servers they use. A lot of companies use that. I don't know that that's not out there yet, but so they use those type of servers, right? And these are usually DC powered, and usually it's, I don't know, four petabytes of data on one rack, let's say. And they're they call open standard servers. They're just slide, right? There's not a bunch of metal and all that stuff like Dell servers. They just slide in. They're very efficient. So you slide it out, put the hard drive in, slide it back in. It's very, very efficient. Now, the cost is a little more, obviously, but your retention data is so much faster. Come in, swap hard drive, you're out, done. you got to understand that these people that work there, these government contractors, or even the government itself, the procurement people, they have a relationship with these vendors. They're value-added resellers that sell them these products. They know the people, they understand it, they like it, and you're going in and you try and change things. They're not having that. Don't just be a fly on the wall and listen and understand that this is the government sector. That's how things work. That's how it is. So thanks a lot. We'll see you next one.